How we looking, boys? How we looking? We looking good? I think we looking good. First actual video that I'm making on with my new tripod. Don't mind the shirt. It's actually themed around what I'm talking about today. I feel like I'm too close to the camera. Is that better? I should check the footage, see if that's even any good. Alright, well, we're looking fine. We're looking fine. So I was rummaging through some old stuff and found this paper I wrote for something. Hold on, what's this on the back? Okay, I know what this is. Okay. I've made like too many versions of this to keep track of. I think this was the final version. This was the final version, I believe. I think there's like another version after this. On the back it reads, "Your story is really coming along. Throughout each version, you have better illustrated the scene within the game. Now, I'd like to challenge you to what? What was I challenged to do?" I remember who graded this. Good lady. One thing that confuses me is it's all in cursive, but the word "now" looks like it was in print. Still, I miss that woman. So it's called The Sacrifice, and I thought I'm gonna read it out to you. It's a good little story, right? This isn't a super interesting video. This is just me reading an old paper I had to write. It was a late summer night when I was hanging out with my friend, Prater. We'd been friends since first grade and shared similar interests. We had been through a lot together already, like when we both showed how angry we could both possibly be during what we call the Nutcracker incident. We had watched a Nutcracker play and fought throughout the whole performance. That's the angriest I'd ever seen Prater at the time. Nevertheless, we were still good friends who loved to hang out. One particular summer was spent constantly going to each other's houses, and we never once got bored. One night that summer was special for causing me to realize just how good of friends we are, and how we would stay friends even throughout failure and fear. That night was spent doing the things we loved doing together, like watching movies, telling jokes and stories, making really bad videos, and playing our favorite game, Left 4 Dead 2. The goal was simple: survive with your teammates, whilst endless hordes of the undead flood the area. We were surviving for our lives. Excuse me. Oh God, excuse me again. We were surviving for our lives, and were the only ones of our team left alive. We sat atop a small building, only a single story. When we heard a roar unlike any other, we went. Just gonna ignore them in the background. We went to investigate and saw a creature unlike any other we had seen before. A hulking beast that went by one name, the Tank. It had been known to be able to take down a whole team of 4 with ease. We were only a team of 2. It lumbered forward and noticed us. Will bullets even work? I wondered. I knew the answer was no. I knew that Prater was depending on me to defeat the Tank, as he was out of ammo. I readied my grenade and leaped from atop the building while screaming, "The Sacrifice." The beast ripped a piece of rock almost as large as itself from the ground and flung it at me, missing by a hair. I threw the grenade and it... lost my place. I threw the grenade and it burst into flames as it hit the ground. I fell to the earth and shattered my legs in the process. I was down and out. I looked back at Prater on top of the building and nodded as if to say, "Continue our legacy," and he nodded back. I was successful in saving Prater and felt satisfied, or so I thought. He looked to the side and his smile shattered as he dropped his weapon and stared. What is he looking at? I wondered. As I looked too, suddenly realized, as the smoke and fire cleared, my soul left my body. "There's two," I screamed as they began to approach. I began to unload my pistol into them, to no avail. They climbed the building, and Prater's fight or flight kicked in, and he ran. A game of cat and mouse had begun, and Prater was the mouse. He ran along the building before reaching the edge, and being cornered. He was then, in only a few short moments, crushed beneath the weight of the tanks. The screen faded to black, and we looked at each other. All I could think about was how I had failed to save him, and how angry he could possibly be. Flashbacks of the Nutcracker incident were playing in my head dozens of times in only a fraction of a second. That was the angriest I had ever seen Prater at the time, and in my mind I thought I was about to get worse. We stared for a few moments, as fear built up in my body. I was preparing for Prater to scream and shout for my failure to save him, and stop the tanks. I was prepared for the loudest screams I would ever hear. After a few blank stares, he had begun to laugh, and so did I. A small chuckle turned into hysterical laughter, rolling on the ground with tears running down our faces. As the laughter subsided, I realized that our friendship would prevail through anything. A simple game couldn't end our friendship. No, it would only strengthen it. Thought they were coming to get me. I realized that night Prater was not a friend, but a best friend, and the best one I had ever had. That night now lives as one of the highlights of our friendship. Famous for how memorable and iconic it is to us, rather than shrouded in infamy like the Nutcracker incident. We got ready for the next attempt, and I wondered, will this end the same way? But I quickly pushed those thoughts aside. It did not matter how the game ended, for even if we were upset, we would still be best friends until the very end. Bit of a dramatic piece. Here's the clip of what actually went down.
The sacrifice!
Oh crap! Oh,
The sacrifice too! Yeah, this is a fun game.
I used a lot of hyperbole. It's a good piece. I'm proud of it still. Went through like 5-6 different versions. So yeah. I could have so turned this into a really good video. I could have so made a banger video essay going over all that, but you know, it's a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more quality content. I'm gonna try to do more stuff like this. No guarantees though. And yeah. That's it.
I like to go to many places. I like to make funny faces. I like to crack a funny joke. My favorite drink is a can of Coke. I like to go to baseball games. I can't remember players' names.